Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Fantastic Mr. Podcast, where we talk about all things film and production, and even some other stuff. Tonight, my co-hosts and I discuss the modern landscape of film production and how their technology has truly leveled the playing field. Hey, I'm your host, Jerome, here with Zach and Justin. Thanks for putting us in your ear holes.
I'm excited for tonight's discussion because I think it's unlike anything we've talked about before on a whole different level.
What a way to say thank you for listening.
So my first question for you guys, do you remember the first video camera you got your hands on? Or maybe Zach, because I know you're more news than film like we are. Maybe what was the first editing program you got your hands on?
What was the first microphone you got your hands on?
Well, video camera. I remember when I was playing soccer and throughout my toddler years, my dad would be roaming around taking video of me through some camcorder. And a lot of people assumed he worked for the news because I guess the camcorders back in the days were all black, had a little windscreen, and just kind of chunky pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
But I never personally really operated it since I was a kid, and my dad it took tape and all that. But that's my first recollection of at least seeing a camera and what it can do. But I was like, oh, that looks like a marshmallow. The windscreen as a kid, I would always touch it. Yeah. But that's my first experience seeing a camera. The tape days.
I don't know. I mean, from what I can remember, we did have for a short time a camcorder that used VHS tapes that you just recorded straight onto the tape with. But we didn't have. I don't think we had it for very long. And then in high school, I actually got my own handy cam, which was kind of a big deal. It's like a digital camcorder. I won it at an after prom thing. I won it randomly, and then I ended up selling it because I never used it at the time. But that was when I was in high school. So
little did you know.
Yeah, little did I know I was going to become a filmmaker / teacher. So yeah, that's the earliest I can remember. Was the old camcorders that used VHS. I should get my hands on one of those, actually.
They're really cool. My first experience was a VHS camcorder as well. My parents had this big old clunky thing. It was like the size of my head. And you put a VHR and it not a VHR, VHS in there. And if you don't know what a VHS is, because we're old, it looked like it was about the size of a small keyboard. It was about 2 inches thick, and it had two wheels in the center with tape. And you would, when you hit record, it would record onto the tape, and it would spin, and it would replay the tape back. I hope people know what a VHS.
Oh, I'm sure most people know.
No, people are listening right now. They're Googling it while in bed listening to this podcast. They're seeing images right now.
Yeah.
What a VHS is.
Mommy, I'm learning about history.
It's important.
It's important. So it's really cool. That was my first experience, and I remember taking my parents' camcorder and going all over the house, recording stuff with my stuffed animals, recording stuff with annoying my sister. I would just chase my sister around with the camera, and she'd be like, "Stop it!" And it didn't matter. She was the actress. I was going to get my stuff, and I don't remember anything that I ever made, but I loved having that camcorder and just filming everything. And that was my first experience.
Yeah, my dad over the years has worked on digitizing or at least putting what he shot on the camcorder over, I'd say, at least 15 years of my life onto DVDs, and then he's in the process of digitizing, put it on hard drives and such. But that's the process. They make DVD players that have the ability to convert VHS to disc format, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
especially because
And if you're
VHS they
you-
degrade in quality over time.
oh, the VHS or the DVD?
VHS.
Aren't those pretty
VHS makes
expensive?
sense.
What? The
Those
DVD player
converters?
converters?
Yeah.
I mean this is several years ago, so maybe back then it was, but
Yeah, maybe.
I have one, but I don't use it for anything other than to play just regular DVDs.
And then what about the cameras you guys use today?
I actually just bought. It's not a film camera, but it's a Minolta SRT 101. It's a photography camera, but it uses film. And it even has like one of those. Sorry, I just hit my mic. It has one of those winder for the film. Where you have to every time you take a picture, you have to rewind or advance the film. You take a picture and advance the film with your thumb. It's a really cool camera. And then, and right now, I did have a Canon 70D for a while that I used to film with, but I ended up getting rid of it because it just kind of collected dust. I actually sold it to LV. If you remember LV. And so right now I just basically have what I can get at the college. Well, and then my phone. I actually just shot a wedding with my phone.
You had a wedding with your phone.
Yeah, and it looked really good. And I bought a gimbal. I bought like a stabilizer for it. It only cost like $130, and it made the shots look really good because the picture already looked good. It was kind of an experiment more than anything. Luckily, it turned out really well. So yeah, that's the camera I have right now.
What phone is the camera?
What phone is the camera?
Yeah, what phone do you have?
An
Like
iPhone.
Apple?
Yeah, iPhone 13 Max Pro.
They shoot movies on those nowadays.
Yeah, that's a whole
Like
thing.
entire
we'll talk about.
movies or just portions of movies?
Portions of it, majorities of it. There's
Don't you dare mention the movies I'm going to mention, Jake.
I don't know what movies you're gonna mention, man. Why don't you mention them?
Well, there are two movies that I had taught, and I actually just bought one of the movies on Blu-ray, and I haven't seen them yet, but I really want to watch them because they're kind of the two. I don't know, for whatever reason, they're the ones that come up when I look up like movie shot on an iPhone, and one of them is called Unsane. And it's about a woman who's involuntarily committed to a mental institution, but it was shot on an iPhone 7. So this movie came out in 2018, which is about right. It's supposed to be kind of like a horror thriller type movie. It looks cool. I've even watched the trailer, and the trailer looked really cool. And then there's another movie called Tangerine, came out in 2015, about a hooker who tears through Tinseltown on Christmas Eve searching for the pimp who broke her heart. That's an interesting way to describe a movie. But it was shot on an iPhone as well. I don't know which iPhone. So yes, they do. And actually, I really would like to shoot. I have an idea for a short film that I want to shoot with my iPhone. Something with like no dialogue. It's just basically kind of like an experimental film. It's kind of what I'm going for with it. So I want to try to shoot it with my iPhone to see how it turns.
Why do people want to shoot movies and films or whatever on a phone? Is the technology's evolved in such a way that it's made it convenient, all in the palm of your hand, essentially?
Yeah.
And obviously, people are using a host of accessories with the phone, I would imagine, and then the post edit and then all that. But just the phone itself, what it comes with, and the software built in, it's just crazy how. And this little brick, you should see the phones these days; they're massive. But generally, you could hold it with one hand. It's just crazy what it can do.
Yeah.
That's a little bit about what I wanted to talk about tonight, because this technology has advanced so much, that it's, leveling the playing field. Videos, movies, weddings, commercials, they're all shot on camera equipment that's getting cheaper and cheaper, less expensive, more affordable. There are free editing programs. There are all sorts of resources for anyone to make whatever they want. And, it just leads to a whole bunch of questions for me. Like, on the one hand, it's fascinating and it's wonderful that we're able to make whatever we want to make. But on the other hand, is that really good for, storytelling in general? Should everyone have the ability to make whatever they want? What do you guys think?
I mean, they already do in a sense, with social media and TikTok and stuff. Granted, a lot of that stuff is maybe a minute long. But I think we're at the point in our lives where, like, you already create, like, if you look at a lot of people's Instagram, at the top they say they all put content creator, almost all of them. And so I put on my Instagram, I said, aren't we all technically content creators? Because even taking a picture and posting it on Instagram
Influencers
is creating content, right? So it blows my mind when people put content creator on their freaking, or digital creator. I'm like, dude, we're all digital creators because we have that ability to do something, whether it is taking a picture or filming something, right? And then uploading it to social media. And you're already, that is your audience, right? You're sending it to the cloud, the audience. And it's like going and shooting a movie and then putting it in theaters, right? Your audience, their phone is the movie theater, if you will. Like, it's clearly not a movie theater, even though some people act like it is. Like, they'll watch whole movies on a freaking phone, and I'm like, why would anybody ever? Like, my niece was eating at the table the other day, and she just had her phone propped up, and I'm like, why are you watching that on your phone? Like, go sit down on the couch and turn it on the TV. Like, I don't know.
Did she at least have headphones
Then you
on
can even project from your phone. You don't
can.
have to watch it on your
Yeah.
phone.
She didn't have headphones on. She was listening to it through the.
Oh my God, it's like all tinny.
I mean,
but suppose
seriously.
these days they have, like, at least my Samsung Galaxy S10 has Dolby Atmos built in.
I mean, the sound isn't bad for a phone, but it's like when I watch a movie, I at least want to watch it on my big TV in my room with my surround sound, or go to the movies if I can. So lately I've been watching more movies, and like, the only thing I watch on like my either my phone or my iPad is like YouTube. Or sometimes while I'm working, I might turn on my iPad and put on a show that I've seen 100,000 times. But like, when it comes to sitting down watching a movie that I've never seen for the first time, it's all about the TV and the sound, or the movie theaters. Like, so I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a thing, but uploading a 1-minute video to TikTok is creating an audience for that. You're already a content creator there.
Everyone has their own opinions about content, but there's a lot of content out there in the world, whether it's in cinema, TV, or on the internet. And there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of bad stuff.
Well,
and that goes with just through the ages of filmmaking, that there's been wonderful movies, not so good, and just absolute trash.
Well,
yeah, I did a quick little research project before this, and I went on IMDb, and I just searched how many movies were released this year. Feature film released from January 1st to current. And there's been 12,833 movies that have been entered into IMDb. That's not even, I'm sure, there's so many more movies that have been made beyond that. These are just the ones that the creators cared enough to make an entry onto IMDb. That's 12,833 just this year.
Mm-hmm.
If we assume that each movie is an hour long, which most movies are longer than that, they're 90 minutes on average. But if we assume that they're just an hour long each, if you watched each one of those movies back to back, it would take you 500 days.
500 days of summer. That's a movie. Yeah, but
500 days to watch every single movie that's been made
so
just this year.
Does it give you
Wow.
statistics as to the runtime? Because you can add short films on there. Because like when I did my thesis movie, I put it on IMDb, and it was 20
That's
minutes
true.
long.
True.
So it's possible that a portion of them
you
could
can.
be short films. Dude, you can put video games on there. I'm not saying that that's part of the statistics you're looking at, but you can add, like if you can go to IMDb and look up a video game. I
There
actually
is.
did it.
Or
There
people.
are short films on there.
People.
Well, yeah, you can of course look at people, but I'm just saying like it's IMDb it
You
stands
should
for
put
the
yourself on there. You're a
it-
filmmaker.
I am on there.
You are? Like your
well,
picture and all that?
Well, you have to have subscription for all that. So it was on there for a while, but I let the subscription run out. So now it's just now it's just text, I think. It stands for Internet Movie Database, but you can also get short films. I think that's or not short films, video games as well, which is pretty cool. I like that part of it because you can. The cool thing about IMDb is you can look up trivia and all that stuff. And like I like to look up the trivia and kind of see how things were made or just certain, cool facts about a movie or whatever. I know that's not what we're talking about.
So the qualifications for this one were films that were tagged as feature film.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's the list that I'm reading. These are feature films
feature
released
gotcha.
from January 1st to now.
Okay, cool.
And it says there's 12,000. Now, maybe if someone made a 3-minute short film and they just tagged it as a feature, then it's,
because they're
put on this
stupid.
list. But that's the list that I found from IMDb, which just goes to show how much content is being made. And I think also, kind of in a roundabout way, shows how easy it is for things to get made. And the majority of these don't even have ratings. Like it shows the rating of each of them, and it's just like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, So most of the stuff's unfortunately not being watched, but it is being made and put out there.
I don't think that it's a bad thing that we can do this stuff. Like I said, I would like to make a movie with my phone just as like an experiment. It's not something I would do all the time. I would rather pay the money to rent a camera if I have to in order to make a movie. But I was just, it's kind of the inexpensive way way to create something is to do it with your phone. Like from 1 minute TikTok to a 20-minute movie, if you want to do something like that. So, when you think about it like that, it is a great innovation. Because, when cell phones first came out, of course, we weren't really thinking pictures and video. It was basically calling. Like cell phones, even in the 80s, it was calling. Then they got a little smaller, but you could only still call. Eventually, texting came out, right? And it's funny how cell phones went from being these giant things, right, to these small flip phones. Which, and like the Razor, everybody loved the Razor. It was super popular.
You remember having to press the letters like 3 times?
Yeah, you had to do it like a few times in order to get the letter you wanted.
I never did that. Never had texting.
Forever.
Yeah.
I remember having an argument once when I had like a little switch phone. And that was more aggravating than the argument I was having because it took so long. It was awful.
That's why you got the BlackBerry.
It only took long if
the slide out screen.
If you sucked at it, because I was good at it. Anyway, so it got to that point where it got we wanted it smaller and smaller. Like I don't know if you guys watch Futurama, but there's an episode where Amy answers her cell phone, and it's on this giant charger, like it's like a brick, but the phone is like super super tiny, right? And so that's kind of how it seemed like we were going with our phones at that time in the early 2000s or whatever. And then the iPhone came out. Then we realized we wanted touchscreen. And then, of course, with the iPhone came pictures and video and FaceTime, and then eventually to where we are now. So I don't think it's
privacy
a bad thing.
Concerns.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other issue, Zach. But yeah, got to us where we're at now, where we can go out. If I wanted to go shoot something right now, I could on my phone. And
it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And this discussion isn't. I'm not trying to determine whether or not it's good or bad that we have this technology.
No, it's just interesting.
Yeah, it's just more of a discussion of like how far technology has come and has made it so easy for anyone, an untrained person, to go out, pick up a camera, learn how to do this. I am majorly self-taught. I've taken a few courses in the course of my career, but I'm for the most part self-taught. And I owe a lot of what I know to this, vast web of education that we can find online. We talk about, technology making things easier. Just the fact that we have internet and communities of people that bind together over common, joys or subjects
that we can
and we
access on
teach
our
each other
phones.
things.
I think we've all used YouTube to learn how to do something in life.
Oh yeah, I learned how to fix my faucet using YouTube because
Really?
because back then I shaved a lot my face, and so because I had worked at a restaurant, and so it got jammed, it got clogged up, and so I looked it up on YouTube how to unclog it, and it's super easy, but it's just it goes to show you what you can access on the web and what people can do. Like even streamers nowadays use their phones to stream.
Oh, yeah.
They don't. I mean, yeah, I bet a few of them use a webcam, but most of them just
Phone
prop
could
their
be the
phones up
webcam.
on a short
Yeah.
little tripod with a ring light
Yeah, or they're like secondary phone that they just use solely as a
as a camera.
webcam. Yeah.
Over in India, there are like streaming hostels where people come in and there's just rows and rows of
Sounds
computers,
like
chairs, and cameras, and they sit down and they play video games. Like all the people, if you ever get on Facebook and you go to like the Facebook Live, and there's like a whole bunch of Indian dudes playing all sorts of video games. I'm not knocking that, but it's just they've made a business out of people coming in, setting up this space, and they can just sit down and start streaming as a job.
You know what
Definitely.
that sounds like? Sounds like an internet cafe.
Well,
You guys remember those?
Yeah, Japan has multiple of those internet cafes. And it's kind of sad. I've watched some documentaries on YouTube about how some people just live in these cafes and they in these small little rooms where there's a computer, and they also live in these facilities. I know people that have this don't have a job, frankly, and they live in these places.
But that is their job because now you can make money doing that. I think
there's concerns.
who is it? I think it is rapper T-Pain. I think it's T-Pain, who that's what he does now. He streams and he plays video games. And he was like, I've made more money from one stream than I did from an entire discography.
Okay,
when he was touring,
gotta be established. Marketing's a big part of.
Well, I was gonna say it's
being a popular streamer.
Yeah, and it's T-Pain. He's already a well-known rapper.
Yeah, and just like the people that make bank off of OnlyFans. I mean, not everyone's gonna be able to be making thousands of dollars right off the bat. I mean, despite your opinions on what people do on OnlyFans.
Into that.
But I mean, it's interesting how people are making livings, including college students. I don't know if you've read articles about how college students are trying to make it through university by making content and selling it on OnlyFans.
They say they're trying to get through university, Zach. It's like a stripper saying she's working to get through college. Like, chances are she might be working to get through college, but she probably is not. She's just saying that so you'll give her more money.
Well, I mean, regardless of your opinions on the purpose of OnlyFans, but that's a medium, thanks to the internet, has made it
in England
profitable for folks to live.
Well, it's even like this, like podcasts. We're three random dudes on a podcast, and we have some listeners, but I've been listening to another podcast called Dungeons and Daddies, and it's a very popular podcast. It's about a bunch of, well, I almost said dudes,
bunch of daddies,
it's a bunch of dudes and a girl playing Dungeons and Dragons as daddies, right? So their dads go, and it's a really good show. But here's the thing, and I didn't realize this, and I was like, why the heck is this show so popular? Like, is it because it's just Dungeons and Daddies? But nope. I realized that two of the guys that are on that show created the show Video Game High School. Have you ever watched that show? So I didn't know that until I think I looked them up or something, and I think I looked up Dungeons and Daddies is what it was, and then I found a video of the two on Conan, and I
Freddie
realized
Wong.
yeah, Freddie Wong and Matt Arnold, I think, and so I realized that they made Video Game High School. No wonder this show is. I'm not saying that the show is not good because it is. It's really good, and I think that even if I didn't know. I just listened because somebody said it's a good show. You should listen to it, and so I listened. Now that I know that two of the guys that work on that show, also did Video Game High School and just some other like bunch of YouTube stuff. Like that's also why that show is so popular, because
Mm.
they already had a fan base to go off of. We don't. I'm not saying that's a
And
bad thing.
it also makes sense because they have production experience.
And they have the equipment and the money and the sponsors to do something like that. But yes, well, I mean, we have production experience. It's not. I don't think it's about.
We have production experience, but we haven't made an entire television show.
Or yeah, I mean, I guess
We
that's
haven't.
true.
We haven't made. We haven't. We
Worked on an
haven't
actual set.
staffed teams of 100 people to make a television show. They
Yeah.
they work with marketing and they've worked with videos and even before they did Video Game High School, Freddie Wong got his start on YouTube. Well, going back to the the bar of entry, Freddie Wong got started on YouTube with the guys over at Corridor Digital. He made what was it? I think it was Rocket Jump was his channel, and they
Yeah.
made short films. That's what they did is they made short films and used their VFX all on their own, and they just released these like nerd themed, action themed, video game themed shorts, and people loved it.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because there's other instances, well, at least one that I could think of, where people, well, Justin Bieber got discovered through
Yep.
YouTube, and now look at him. And then if you've ever watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the main character, her name is Rachel Bloom, right? And she just made silly YouTube music videos and stuff. And somebody at a network saw it and said, we need to give her her own sitcom. So they created Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because she was on there. So I mean, the way things happen nowadays are a little different because we talked about this. Well, we haven't, but I mean, like it's been a topic of discussion before where people get discovered or channels can make money now, and that's people's job because
Yeah.
they know how to use the technology, or they caught it, or they got in on it early on, like epic rap battles of history. It's a great concept. I think it would still be popular had it started 6 months ago, but considering it started like kind of when YouTube was taking off, helped it a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube is such an incredible resource for people to get discovered. Like there are several directors that I know of who were discovered from YouTube. David F. Sandberg is one of them. We talked about him before. He started making horror shorts on YouTube, and he's now the director of Shazam, which we've talked about, Annabelle Creation, Lights Out, which was, I think that's was actually how he got discovered, was he made a short horror with his monster who moves only in the dark, and he was discovered and he was able to make a feature film off that.
That
He was
movie,
discovered from YouTube.
that movie kind of
Joe-
freaked me out.
Joe
go ahead.
Penna, which you might know as Mystery Guitar Man, he started way back when YouTube started, and he's a director now. He's worked on films with like Mads Mikkelsen, and so these people who produce and make a living now with films started back on YouTube.
Yeah, I just need to stop being so lazy. I have good ideas, I think.
Like, I could do that. I could work with Mads Mikkelsen.
Well, okay, that's not what I meant. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying I'd get discovered, but I think I have some pretty good ideas to be able to at least put on YouTube, Like,
And for some of these creators, it takes years for them to get discovered
noticed.
and
Exactly.
get
That is true.
some major break to make them pop. I think these days it might be there's just so much saturation of content creators, but there's also the luxury of social media to help amplify people's
To promote
content.
yourself.
And there's people making so many like social media platforms to help spread their content to the world, which even back in 2008 we were kind of limited on how we could spread and share our for example, videos that we made on YouTube or websites. But I think with more social media platforms coming to the horizon, it seems like people have a greater chance at getting the recognition that they might seek. But at the same time, there's just so many people making content that it might kind of get lost in the
Oh yeah,
whole
totally.
ocean of stuff.
You know how Trey Park and Matt Stone got discovered? You know who they are, right? Creators of South Park.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They created like an animated short, same style as a little more crude, of course, than now, but same style, same animation style with the construction paper and stop motion. But they just made like a short animated thing on VHS where Santa and Jesus fight, right? But the way they got discovered, if they made that now, it'd be a lot easier for them to get discovered because they just put it on a VHS tape and it got passed around.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It got passed around, and they had pitched South Park to networks like Fox and NBC and all those places. And the reason they got discovered was a up and coming channel called Comedy Central that took a chance on them, and now look at them. So just think about like the way you get
sheer
discovered.
fact that they had to like physically swapping a VHS.
I mean, seriously, and now we can just put it on the internet and people see it, and we hope for the best, essentially.
Which leads me to my next question. With so much content being put out on the internet, do you guys think that the playing field has actually been leveled? Because on the one hand, you can get it on there super easily, but on the other hand, you have to fight everyone else doing the same thing.
No. You're talking about like uploading to the internet versus going out and creating a movie with equipment and people and all that, right?
Yeah.
I think that no, because the way that things happen versus as far as like using your phones and this technology versus going out and like getting a camera, I don't know. I don't think it levels the playing field. I think they're two different experiences, right? So I can go out and shoot a wedding with my phone and be done with it, come back and edit it all by myself. But when it comes to making a movie, like that's a whole process. You have to write a script, you have to find help that will either, for us, Jake, you and me, that will either work for free or for very little. And then you just have to hope that you find people that are willing to work for experience, which so far, luckily, that we found that, right? But it's just a whole different process. So like with uploading to TikTok and YouTube, like, yeah, you can upload shorts and stuff, but I don't know, something about like going out and getting all this stuff together and having to organize this huge, even like my thesis film took 3 days to make, but it took even longer for pre-production and even longer for production, right? So that whole process, just there's something like, I don't want to sound cheesy, but something magical to it, as opposed to like getting my phone out and making a TikTok real quick and just uploading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let's talk
not as much
about
effort goes into it.
Yeah. I mean, it totally. It just you can make 15 TikToks a day. It's kind of like the joke of, I was watching How I Met Your Mother, and it was like a little montage of all these dates that Ted had been going on, and one of them, this girl said, "Oh, when I was living in California, I was trying to make as an actress, and I had to work in adult movies for a while." For about a month, and he was like, "Oh, well, how many did you do?" And she said 175. I'm not equating like using technology and your phone and stuff to make movies to making porn, even though they sometimes go hand in hand. But you can bust out 20 TikToks throughout the day, as opposed to a movie where you have to plan it, shoot it, edit it, and then you have to like enter it into either festivals, or if you can get lucky and find someone to distribute it for you. Like, I don't know, it's just a whole other process.
Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about ignoring TikTok and social media. Talk about that barrier of entry for cinema, because technology still has lowered the bars for that as well. If you go on to Netflix, you can find all their Netflix approved cameras. The cheapest camera on there that is Netflix approved is the Panasonic Lumix BGH1, and it's $2,000.
That's not bad.
I know that is still expensive, but when you consider the fact that cinema cameras used to cost $100,000 for the body alone, and now you can get a body for $2,000.
Damn.
Well,
that's incredible.
That camera, I don't. Just you said it's a Panasonic.
Yeah.
So my guess is it's probably like a camcorder, right?
No, it is.
Is it like the red
it is
where
a cinema box?
Yeah.
It essentially it's a GH5 brain boxed in a cinema body.
Interesting.
It's a square box. It has everything you need to add on to it, but it's $2,000.
Get it, Justin.
Actually, no. That's actually. I mean, if it's Netflix approved, right?
It's Netflix approved.
It means I can make something and get it on Netflix.
And speaking of just Netflix in general, if you go to, if for anyone interested in doing this, you can go to partnerhelp.netflixstudios.com, and they essentially have a how-to guide on all of their best practices, from everything from pre-production to the production process, to running dailies, to color grading, working with the ACES program, everything. It's you have the instructions to like run your own studio per Netflix guidelines right there.
You can also go to adultswim.com and they'll take your ideas for a show. You just have guidelines to follow. That's where I thought you were going with that Netflix thing. I didn't realize it was just like a Netflix school for filmmakers or something.
It's not like a school, but they do,
you know
like,
what I mean. They help
you click on these links and they take you, you guess it, to YouTube. And they have, someone's like, hey, I'm the lead colorist at Netflix. Here's how we want you to color grade. Here are the settings we want you to use.
It's like a master class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except it's for
Netflix
production.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And then there's you talked about needing a crew to produce films, which I agree. I think you do. But we've also gotten to a point where I think it has become simple enough that someone, if they're willing to put in the effort, can produce their own short films and their own movies by themselves, if they're willing to put the time and effort in themselves. Used to, that was just impossible. You had to have a crew. You had to have, a team working together for years to put something together. There's a fantastic YouTube channel on virtual production. His name's N. Hubert, and he uses Unreal Engine to excuse me. He uses Unreal Engine and virtual production practices to create his own like sci-fi dramas, sci-fi films, all by himself. So he sets up a green screen by himself. He sets up the cameras by himself. He goes in, he uses Unreal Engine, and he creates the environment himself. He keys himself into it and produces everything, all of himself. It's insane. And stuff like that blows my mind because of how far technology has come and how, I'm not going to say it's easy, but how accessible it's become for anyone to truly make art by themselves.
In the early days of Halo 2 and Halo 3, people, there was this organization called Machinima, and they would make basically like meme videos and storylines based, Red versus Blue, based on the what's afforded in the games themselves, and using different camera angles and I think the theater mode to capture all of the
That's crazy.
action.
I forgot about that.
And it's interesting that people
And they've
in the theater mode, like basically acting as like a camera for scenic shots and getting all sorts of angles of like the Spartans as they're doing their choreography.
Well, it's almost like
the story is.
It's their actors.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like the innovative ways, even back then, that people were making shows for YouTube.
I never really watched it.
I watched a few of the episodes, and I thought it was really funny when I watched it as a kid. And I tried to watch it as an adult, and I didn't think it was not bad, but I didn't really watch it. much.
Different type
but
of humor.
it's probably really funny. I do like the way they kind of took that format and created something completely different out of it. And now they have, a whole what is it? A whole company, and they make an anime. They have an anime show that I don't know if it's still going, but it was. I think was it Ruby that was theirs, wasn't it?
Was Machinimas?
I'm asking you guys.
I
RWB.
never watched it. I just know about it.
Yeah, I never watched it either, but I want to say,
No, not Arby's. I tried to look up Ruby and it got me Arby's.
Arby's.
Arby's sounds good. Yeah, I'll have that. But
Curly
I,
fries.
I think I heard it from somebody, so it might be wrong. But that's just what I heard. So I never actually tried to look it up. So shame on me.
Rooster Teeth Productions is a production company based in Austin. Yep,
Yeah, okay. So I thought.
they sure were.
So
Austin,
smart.
Texas.
Hey, that's right next door to you.
Yeah. Only been there once.
Let's say someone's interested in doing this. They have minimal amount of skill. What resources does someone have today
Here's
to
Here's
pick up a camera
yeah.
and start making movies?
Here's the thing that's cool about technology. Okay. So I taught high school for a year, and one of their projects was to make a movie trailer. And guess what? They did the whole effing thing on their phones, because you're able to, of course, minus the writing part, because I gave them a little form to fill out that, kind of detailed what they were going to do. But once they got to that shooting part, they were able to use their phone, and they were able to edit it on their phone. So really, if you think about it, you have a phone, that's all you need. I mean, now the thing that sucks though is that if you want pretty good audio, you're gonna have to buy a mic.
Yeah.
I mean, the microphone's not bad, but it's not good enough for that. So you're gonna have to get either a mic that plugs straight into your phone or a mic and an external recorder. But I think the most you might need is a mic and a ring light.
Man, is audio one of the last barriers for
So
professional
far.
production?
But even it's not even that. It's not even really a barrier now because you can buy mics for your phone, and they're not super expensive. Lavalier mics for your phone, and they're not super expensive. And you can probably plug it in your phone. And you can buy lenses for your camera on your phone.
I didn't know that. My sister has macro lenses,
Mm-hmm.
and she just has she doesn't have a latest phone. She has a crappy old Android from
Oh, and I'm sure
so far back.
makes it look good.
And she puts these little lenses on her phone, and she takes macro photography of the insects in her garden, and they're really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So really, I mean, if you have a phone, like I bought that gimbal for the wedding that I did recently, and it made the shot look really good because it kept it stable.
What did the bride and groom think about you using the cell phone?
This is how I they asked me if I wanted to do it. I said no, not really. Plus, I don't really have the equipment. And then I turned around and said, I'm buying this gimbal for my phone. It's like a stabilizer. And I said, I'll do your wedding if I can use my phone. And she said,
Wow.
okay. Yeah, she said, okay. And so I was like, all right. And I mean, the phone, the cool thing about the iPhone is you don't really have to worry. It's kind of like a point and shoot camera, right? I mean, there are apps where you can adjust things, but they're also you don't have to. You don't have to worry about aperture and iris and what's the other one? ISO and all that stuff. Everything looked good, even when the lights are off. Most of the lights are off in the venue. I could still see everybody just fine. I didn't have to worry about all that stuff. So it was really convenient to use the phone. But in the future, I think I want to invest in some more equipment if I ever want to do a wedding again. But I doubt I'll ever do a wedding again. I really don't like doing weddings. I really wanted to do it for the reason of having the gimbal and being able to use my phone and stuff.
Now you could do walking tour videos of Arkansas.
I could do
Make a living off of YouTube walking videos.
Well, I bought a camper recently, and could be something I could invest in and just be go down trails and stuff, and kind of stream it on Twitch or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. I never thought about that. Thanks, Zach, for the idea.
Journeys with Justin. I don't know. Justin's journey.
Actually, that's not bad. That's actually, dang, Zach. That's a good idea.
So general that it could be for outdoorsy stuff, or it's
Those
just a
people-
wide open field of options. It's
No
not.
pun intended.
You're not. Yes, you're not. Oh, you don't need to narrow in on one
give it a
area.
gimmick or anything. It's
Yeah.
just I'm just going on hiking on trails.
Justin's journeys. Justin's journey.
Hmm.
I don't know. I can see a cartoon silhouette of you. I don't know, and a J&J. Nice vibrant colors as for the logo. I could see it now.
We'll see. We'll see. That's actually not a bad idea. If they can use a straight up phone, like just holding it, but if you want to use your phone, you might have to invest in some minor equipment, but it's nothing compared to the equipment you have to invest in as far as like an actual camera. And then, if you want an actual gimbal for that freaking camera, those are crazy expensive. Not only that, but they're heavy.
They are heavy.
And you have to like the gimbal I got, you don't have to balance it. Like with gimbals and cameras, you have to balance it so that the camera stays stable, and make sure the weight distribution is good throughout. With this one that I just bought for my phone, I didn't have to do that. I just really just put it on there and it was good to go. So if you're willing to invest in maybe say at least a lavalier mic and maybe like some sort of rig to hold the phone, even if it's just a tripod, like I think you'll be good. And you can do that to shoot like interviews or something if you're like some sort of freelance reporter maybe, or just a wannabe reporter, aspiring reporter. You can maybe use your phone, just little things like that.
There's one reporter I see often in the field, and he works for one of the Spanish language stations, and he has a photographer most of the times, but he's kind of a one-man band himself. He'll be first on scene and have like this bandolier of camera equipment. It's like he's a soldier, but a reporter with all these gadgets on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has, like for press conferences, he'll use like a little tripod in his phone. He'll have a Rode or Rhodes brand microphone,
like
lavalier
shotgun
setup. Yeah, but he'll have a wireless too that he'll
Oh yeah, sure.
clip onto someone as well. In addition to having the furry on the phone.
Furry.
So
It's got a
yes.
windscreen.
Some of them look like they're freaking cats.
Yeah, it's got a windscreen.
Cat.
There's one for inside
That's what
and
they're
there's
called.
one for outside.
A cat.
Yeah, the little
Yeah, I think-
fuzzy one that looks like a tail, they're called dead cats.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, they're creepy.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up because I know we kind of talked about it before, like the other day. Is that's another thing with like reporters and stuff. Like you guys get asked to go live on Facebook all the time, and how are you going to do that? I had to do it on your phone. So like it's another thing with the news business nowadays. It's like, yeah, we're going to go live at 5, but I can go live right now on my phone. And I'm sure you've done it before, Zach, at least
Yeah,
once,
a
right?
handful of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my likes and dislikes about it. I'm a guy about I want good quality.
It's kind of, I
I
feel
guess
like
it depends what you're doing and what you're covering as well.
Yeah.
If you're in the hustle and bustle of like a riot or something.
and you don't want to have to
then-
stop and get your phone out and do live and all that stuff.
No, I think that'd be more appropriate for that
Oh,
type of
really?
situation, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
easy access.
Yeah,
and-
because if you got a camera, you put a
Yeah, that's
target
true.
on your back.
I
yeah.
was just thinking like the inconvenience of having to, get it all set up real quick during a riot. Like, okay. But I
No,
get
that-
why it would be
for a
appropriate.
phone, it'd be easy to set that up. Just go
I don't-
press the live button.
I'm going to be honest, I've never gone live before, ever.
Remember
I've-
Periscope? Remember that short-lived app?
Nope.
A long time ago. Not
Like
long ago, but it sure isn't around.
What was
I
it
think
for?
I
Just
think I
live
know.
streaming?
It was- it was Twitter's response to Facebook Live,
Oh, okay.
essentially.
Yeah, I vaguely remember something like that.
Yeah, you still can go live on Twitter, I believe, but it's nothing. I don't think it's branded as anything special.
Well, the thing I know about, or I remember about Twitter is live tweeting, and like for a long time I didn't know what that was, but it's literally just typing everything out as it happens.
I had to
Like,
do that for
Twitter's such a cesspool.
a class
Yeah.
project. We had to watch the presidential debates and live tweet the presidential debates. It was so stupid.
What
don't
is
know,
the
that's-
point? I mean, other than to vent your, I guess,
Or just
observations or I
well,
don't know.
it's more of a just updates from because I only noticed it like we might have one or two reporters who live tweet maybe a press conference or something. And when I worked at Channel 7, and like it was kind of cool because you got to be updated, because what if they didn't allow cameras in there, so you can live tweet the whole thing. So it's like that part of it's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It seems a little more tedious than just going live, just sitting there having to type and tweet everything out. I didn't realize it.
Court cases and all that.
Yeah,
tweeting.
Yeah. We can't have cameras in there, so you can live tweet, which is a great resource for people who are like Twitter. But I don't care for Twitter. I only have it because, well, originally I only had it for my personal when I had all my film equipment and started doing weddings and stuff. Like I had it for that, but now we have it as a podcast, and I use it for that. But Twitter's kind of probably my least favorite social media outlet. I mean, I do tweet sometimes, but not very often. Especially I don't live tweet. I should live tweet the most mundane thing ever.
You should live tweet our. No, I'm not. I was going to say live tweet our podcast, but I'm not going to follow it up with the most mundane thing ever.
Yeah, don't. It's not that mundane. I don't know if I could live tweet our podcast. I mean, I guess I could, but I wouldn't be doing very much contributing to the speaking part of it because I'd be tweeting the whole time.
We need another person to be our digital person for the podcast.
Well, if we get to a point in our lives where we can do something like that, that'd be great. Have someone do all the well, not all the editing, but especially have someone do all the posting is what I would want. Someone who I can send off the podcast to, and they can post it to everything with all the posts, like the text and the pictures and all that stuff. Like I'd totally be okay with that. Sorry, that's not what we're talking about.
You're good. So I guess final thoughts. What do you guys think? Has the barrier of entry actually been lowered? Is it a level playing field, or is there still something that separates, just throwing stuff on TikTok, Facebook from actually making movies?
I think the foundation's there for people that want to create content or be aspiring filmmakers, but there's a difference between how much effort you want to put into a project, and in some cases it's a matter of financial resources. In other situations, it's who you know to help you amplify whatever you're working on. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's your determination and passion that matters most. I believe, because if you have that, you could work towards achieving anything.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, these directors and stuff, you don't see them shooting on their phones. Of course, they don't have to, right? They don't have to do that. But if technology was at a point, if it were at that point where they could do that, I don't know if they still would. You know what I mean? Like,
I think they would.
I mean,
if technology was the point where they could use a cell phone instead of the cameras that they use, I think they would.
I don't know.
There's just limitations with phones compared to so much other equipment out there in terms of like the Zoom capabilities for one.
Well, Zoom capabilities, but also storage capabilities. I mean, the Red might not have any storage, right? But you can still dump that footage, whereas with a phone, it's a little more difficult. You can't really. I mean, I guess now you could maybe connect a hard drive, an external hard drive.
I mean, now, we didn't even talk about, like cloud software with things like Frame.io, Adobe's Frame.io. You could film it on your phone, get up Adobe on your device, send it to Frame.io, and an editor in California can start working on it immediately.
Yeah, that's how we had to do our thesis movies, was upload it to Frame.io so that our thesis committee could watch it and be able to, give comments on it and stuff. So, yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess there is the possibility of the cloud. Didn't really think about that. I mean, it's cool. Both ways are cool. I think that the cameras and the crew and all that, they have, I don't know. I just feel like they're able to do more, at least right now. And it just has that better quality, and like you can't shoot in IMAX on a phone, but of course, if you could, I'm sure people would do it, So I think they both. I don't think the playing field's level, but I do think they both definitely have their good qualities about them. Because I would totally shoot a movie on my phone just to do it.
So, what would it take to level that playing field?
Better phones.
Cost,
Yeah.
lower cost of equipment that big movie companies use.
Or better phones that can match these $2,000 cameras, like that you're mentioning, you talked about earlier. Like, I bet you, yeah, the iPhone looks good, but it probably doesn't look as good as this camera that you're talking about. I don't know for sure because I've never seen the camera, but my guess is probably not. These phones might cost $2,000, but it's not just for the camera, So,
You know what? That's a good point.
For the
I
brand.
think how expensive is the new iPhone that's coming out?
No, I'm sure it's at least
thousands.
$1,200 or $1,300 at least.
I read.
Well, they try to, and I noticed they try to make a little more inexpensive versions of phones now and iPads and
Yeah. It seems like phones are they're emphasizing the camera capabilities these days.
They
That's
really are.
what they're marketing. You see the massive lenses. It's like almost scary to even put your phone down on the tables. You're worried you're going to scratch something or break something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They bulge out of the phone. It's weird.
Well,
An unlocked iPhone 14 Pro, 1 terabyte, is $15.99.
Crazy in the United States.
But that's an
Yeah.
unlocked one.
That's from Apple.com.
Oh, wow. Probably more
And
in like
that's 1
Australia.
terabyte of storage. That's a lot of storage
On a phone. Jeez.
on a phone.
That's ridiculous.
But $1,600 for a terabyte of footage on your phone versus $2,000
and you don't
for a
even
cinema
really, yeah.
cam.
And you can't there's really no storage on those cameras. You have to get an external hard drive and you have to dump footage every, few hours. But I don't know. For me, it's a little more worth it if I have the money to do that than it is to use my phone, at least right now. Now, like I said, totally down for using a phone to shoot stuff, even a narrative short film. So not knocking it. But I think if I had the money, do like what's his face, Tommy Wiseau, and buy all my equipment if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Wiseau is from The Room or Room. Yeah.
Hi, doggy.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I think it's cool that you could.
I did not hit him.
Oh, hi,
you could
Mark.
You
Sorry.
could shoot portions of movies, or like if you want it in the future for your own projects, like shoot like portions of it where you think it would be the best to use like the main camera and then use the phone for other shots for. Well, depending what you're trying to achieve.
You could. There's some contests that tell you to shoot a scene for your, like, if you want to make a feature film, and the way to win this contest is you have to shoot a scene from your film and send it in. I guess you could potentially do that with your phone, and if you win, then you got the money to go rent a camera.
The opening panning shot.
Well,
Yeah, and
long pan.
People do mix like their phones and things. I think it's pretty common for, even in Hollywood, for them to throw a GoPro on a drone and get action shots in the middle of, they're shooting IMAX, then out of nowhere comes like this like 1080p grainy like
yeah,
the GoPro
overhead
Max
shot.
footage.
Well, then you got
in the
like
middle of this epic. You're like, where is this coming from? People do it.
Well, yeah, they stick GoPros to people for chase scenes sometimes.
Why is the aspect ratio different all of a sudden?
That's pretty much all I have. Any final thoughts from you?
No, I do think that the conversation is interesting, and I'm sure we could talk about it for hours. But I'm not knocking phones. I just want to be clear. Like, I think if you have a nice phone and with a nice camera, go out and shoot stuff. Because if anything, you get practice, you get noticed, and then you start making movies. It's like you got to do what you got to do until you get the means to do what you want to do, I guess.
What if the only camera they have is on their laptop? Do you think they could just like walk around with their laptop?
They could. I had a friend that told me
take
He had a-
pictures, video.
Well, I had a friend who told me he had a friend that shot a movie using a Prius backup cam. And I was like, okay, now I said, that guy's reaching. Yeah, I was like, that guy's reaching. Like, he just wants to shoot it with something, crazy so he can be like, I did it with I did it with a Prius backup cam.
I did it with a bowl of pudding.
Because those Prius backup cams, they're essentially like fish, what are they called? Fisheye cams?
Like a 270-degree angle.
Yeah, it's just, it's like a security camera that you're shooting with. And I don't know, that just doesn't
I
seem...
shot it with Google Glass. No one remembers that.
I remember
failed
Google Glass.
project.
Barely.
If you're interested in liking, commenting, subscribing, telling us whether we're great or we suck, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the social medias. Let us know. What experience do you have? Have you used your cell phone to shoot a short film? What about using Unreal Engine to create your 3D dreams? Let us know. We're really curious. I guess bye.
Oh, I was like, was that the end? All right. See ya.
Bye.